All right, we are here Thursday on Radio Row here at the NFL Combine with the one and only Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports.
Day doesn't matter when you bring in the newsmakers. Right here, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday. You always are in the middle of it. Thank you for taking time. Of course.
You've really started to break into this, the insider game. It can be pretty competitive, as we've learned the last couple days.
Yeah, I saw they took the crime scene tape down at the Starbucks.
Yes, but at the same time,
That's amazing.
Before we get into what's coming ahead with free agency, from your standpoint in the Bears coaching process, I know that you were doing a lot of reporting within that.
Yeah.
What was some of your biggest takeaways?
Well, they got the bell of the ball, right? I mean, Ben Johnson is absolutely that dude. And look, I don't think that there is any real legitimate way that you can look at past success and predict future success when it comes to, hey, is this coordinator going to be a great head coach or not? I think that there's been a lot of great coordinators who didn't wind up becoming great coaches for various circumstances. But everything is set up for Ben Johnson, for his staff, for Caleb Williams, for Ryan Poles, for Kevin Warren, for all of them to be successful. And you actually don't have an excuse, right? That's going to be the thing for the Bears. I'm not saying that they got to, make the playoffs and win a playoff game and make it to the divisional round. Maybe they lose to a Philadelphia Eagles or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. But there's no reason why they can't be successful in 2025, and I really like the staff that Ben has assembled more than anything.
So if they're going to get to where you just said, they obviously need help up front, but news right now, or the way things lean, seems like Trey's going back to Kansas City, and Trey Smith, you okay?
Maybe. I mean, look, in my experience, what we say and rumor around at the Combine, and then what winds up happening, 2 weeks later, sometimes those things don't necessarily add up, right?
Okay.
And so what I say that there is we had Brett Veach on the other day, and he said, look, I think there's a realistic chance that we keep both Trey Smith and Nick Bolton. It's possible, but does Trey Smith want to be, the highest paid ever at his position? And if so, I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs can do that. So where is he going? So I do hear that. But what's today? It's Thursday, February what?
27th. You're not buying it. I got it.
I don't know that I'm not giving my firstborn on that.
What do you hear about Mekhi Becton?
Well, look, for Mekhi, I think he's a guy who very much in the past 3-4 years of his career, it was not going well. He goes to a place that treats him well. We saw the NFL films clipped from him at Super Bowl. It would, I believe, be wise for him to keep a good thing. Right? Do you really want to go out there and get paid, or do you want to, deal with some of the crap that you dealt with for the last couple years of your life and career? If I were him, I'd stay in Philadelphia.
Right.
But, some of these guys, they look at that generational wealth and
Well, so that's interesting because, the Bears signed a guard recently. I forget, what was it? I think his name was Nate Davis. It didn't work out particularly well.
No, it did not.
When they did that, were you scratching your head at that signing at the time?
I think every free agency, most of the teams that did not make the playoffs or have not made the playoffs in a while are going to do things that are slightly desperate. They're going to tell you at the podium that they are going to be strategic and that they're going to be focused and narrowed in their approach. And then March comes around and they give somebody that they shouldn't a little bit more money.
Right.
And I like to call that the bad team tax. Like, you want Nate Davis? Well, you need Nate Davis. You think you do? You're going to pay more than even
Desperate is totally the right word, is how that process went down.
It was desperate.
Yeah.
But the Bears are not alone in that. A lot of teams do that, and we all saw how that worked out.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, when you watch the Eagles with their defensive line, that certainly worked out.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard to work out keeping them all, right, with Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. So, from your takeaway, what are the chances they'll be able to retain one or both of them?
I think they'll be able to retain one. Who it is, I'm not entirely sure which one they are ranking. I would imagine you would rank Milton Williams above, but obviously there's a dollar amount attached to that. Milton Williams is going to cost more than Josh Sweat does. Some folks were concerned about Josh and his knee from back several years ago. How much longer does he have? Look, if you play on that Superdome turf and go against the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line every week, you think he's going to do pretty well for a long time. So I would imagine that Howie Roseman, who is really, really good at this, is going to figure out a way to keep one of them. And if I had to wager, it would be Milton.
Well, you had a chance to talk to Ben Johnson, so I'll
Yep.
circle back before we cut you loose. You know, I know you got a busy day and you're working hard, and we appreciate your
I appreciate
time.
you guys.
Yeah, of course. So when you talk to Ben Johnson, I mean, me talking to him at the podium, man, I hope he works out because he's such a great conversationalist. You know, he's
Smart dude.
insightful, smart. You know, he's got a good energy for him.
He went to
so
North Carolina. Great school, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go Heels.
Greatest player to ever play anything.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan,
Heard of him?
right?
He's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
No,
Don't worry. I'm a Jordan guy.
Yeah,
We're not doing that LeBron stuff.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, just from your standpoint, just, you know, from what you learned in that interview with Ben Johnson, because I just love learning more and more about him.
So we had talked with Ryan Poles right before that, and he had mentioned how Ben's he's an energy guy. He's a juice guy. And so I asked Ben about that. I was like, hey, well, I didn't really see that as I'm watching you on the sideline as offensive coordinator. He was like, look, my job as OC was not to be the juice guy. I was like, okay, all right, I hear you. And then I asked him a question about a narrative that I know that you all have heard, probably talked about the whole mad scientist. And with that, the label and the narrative that sort of unfolds from that like, okay, you're a mad scientist, so you want to lock yourself in the room and you just want to scheme up plays and you just want to be an offensive guy. Well, now you're the head coach. You can't do that. What do you think about that? And he said, look, I'm ready to flip that narrative, okay? I did my job as offensive coordinator. My job was not to be Dan Campbell. I'm paraphrasing here. My job was not to be Dan Campbell. It was to be the best offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. Now I'm a head coach. That's not what I'm going to be. I'm going to be the best head coach for this team. I loved the energy, the excitement about it. I was like, oh, like, shit, you thump him in the chest, and he's like, let's go.
So there's whispers that Caleb could be, well, the Ryan Poles went on the radio and said he needs to learn how to be a pro. And then you hear stuff behind the scenes that, where he can be better. And yet Ben is coming here because you're not going to come if you don't love Caleb.
Sure.
So what's your read on that how that thing just boiled down to where he doesn't care about whatever little whispers are out there, I'm believing in this dude.
So, first of all, you obviously see the talent in Caleb when you're watching. You know that there's plenty of talent and untapped potential there. You hope that you work out some of the bad habits that clearly he developed this year that went unchecked. But I remember, people had an issue with Kyler Murray, right? And then Jonathan Gannon goes there, and everything turned. And I believe, first of all, as a blanket rule, I'm not saying this specifically about Ben, but the NFL coaches have a fantastic ego about them, and they're going to fix whatever issue there is. So I believe that most coaches look at Caleb and are like, I can fix him. So that's going into it, right? But also, Ben he believes that he knows what buttons to push. I think he sees that there are some pretty easy buttons to push, and that's what he believes is going to happen.
Last one from me, and then you can wrap it up, Greg. Quarterback-wise, your biggest surprise landing spot for any of the moving parts that are out there?
Yeah, again, it is Thursday, February
27th.
I know that everyone believes that Matthew Stafford is on the first plane to, LaGuardia, or maybe, from Montana, he's going to Vegas or whatever. Why would the Rams let him go?
Right.
Why would the Rams let him go?
Yeah.
And so I just give it a beat. Just give it a beat. I know we're all excited, man. We're here. We're doing this, right? We wanted to go somewhere. We want to have something else to talk about. I'm not convinced of that.
Well, and if we could send Aaron Rodgers to Antarctica, I think a lot of Bears fans would enjoy that.
Look, I think he might enjoy that.
Yeah, that's true.
He'll do another Netflix special I won't watch.
Absolutely. So, final thing, Marcus Freeman. Obviously, you set Bears Twitter on fire with your reporting on that and the coaching search. So, when's Marcus Freeman going to find his way into the NFL?
Look, it's so funny, right? All of these guys, you hear like, oh, man, they don't want to recruit and re-recruit every single day. They want to move to the NFL. And then what have we seen like the last 8 weeks? You see Belichick go to Carolina. You see all these NFL guys go to college. Things are changing. And, Notre Dame took care of Marcus. Things are pretty good there for him.
Yeah.
We'll see. But as long as he continues leading that program the way that he is, there will always be interest in the NFL.
Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports, you do a fantastic job, and we really appreciate your time now. Jonathan Jones, give a round of applause. Yeah, thank you again.
Awesome, man.
All right.